So I invite us to all close our eyes and take some nice deep breaths in and out. And as we breathe, we naturally connect to the very heart of Gaia in her unified state through time, past, present, and future. And we call forward the law of love and the law of one in this unified state. We activate all that we have been, all that we are, all that we shall be in service to the evolution of Gaia, to the evolution of humanity, to the evolution of ourselves. And we call forth all of the guides, the ascended masters, the elevated ancestors, the animal allies, the angels, and all the higher dimensional helpers who are aligned with the law of love and the law of one, the evolution of Gaia, the evolution of humanity into this unified state of love that we always have been, that we're coming back to. May we now, the three of us, align energetically, spiritually, and on every level that it is called for to bring this great work forward, to call forth what is already so in the future, to allow beyond being human to be made manifest in this time, starting now at this level, that calls us all three of us and anyone who is involved in this great work to step to the plate in our evolved awareness, while ego is stabilized and humbled, and our higher self leads this process. An alignment with our highest intuition, our greatest unified love, and this constant stream of information from the higher guides, the angels, higher dimensional beings, of what we are called to do, knowing that we are already exactly what is needed to bring this great work forward as we surrender and as we move into the spiritual humility of being a hollow bone, of allowing ourselves to be a conduit of spirit at this level, knowing that our higher self, the conduit of divinity, and all that we already are is leading us and has led us to this work that is already completed and already being shared with the world on multiple levels in the future. We now call this forward and know that it is so. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is done, it is done, it is done. By the power of three, a holy trinity, it is done. And so it is. And so it is.
Thank you, Melissa. That was beautiful. And folks, welcome to Backstage at Beyond. Some of you may not have heard very much about Beyond Being Human. It's actually a documentary that's been in development since I had an angelic encounter nearly 10 years ago now. And I'm not going to talk about that here now, other than to say it drives everything that I do and has informed and inspired the creation of a story arc and the participation of so many amazing people, such as Melissa Sophia Joy and Adam Apollo. And welcome, you guys. Thank you for spending the time. And I'm really looking forward to hearing from each of you. But staying with Melissa, talk about your work and how you came to do what you do.
Thank you, Michael. First of all, I just want to say how honored I am to be part of this project. Over the last few weeks, since I have put my head around being a part of this project at this level, It has enlivened me on so many levels and feel so connected to my soul's work. And so a little bit about me. On a professional level over here, I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor. I've been a mind, body, spirit specialist for 20 plus years, an intuitive, medical intuitive, an oracle, priestess, many, many things. And this work, how I have really been called to this deeper work and what really got me involved in Beyond Being Human is really connected to what I'd call the land of the mystical that has been living through me over the last few decades. When I was 30, so quite a while ago, I had the experience of all of a sudden the landscape of what humans normally live in regarding like how we perceive our reality really was ripped because then and I started having all of these past life memories, like a lot, all all at once. And it was very, very overwhelming to me. And what ended up happening is a lot of healing. I went through a lot of initiations and many vision quests and medicine journeys and working with a lot of different healers, learned a lot as a naturopathic doctor. I was, collecting modalities and all these different things. And what ended up happening is that I had a lot of healing regarding stabilizing my awareness, but I was going through so much healing connected to a lot of past lives, many of which were very, very traumatic, that I wasn't actually receiving the level of healing that I really wanted to really transform me inside. And so I went through a very powerful, deep surrender process. And within a couple of months, had a very high fever with the flu. And in the middle of the night, had a vision of Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, and they came to me and they said, "It's time for you to remember what you came here to remember, and it's time to share with others what you remember." And a few days later, Magdalene started coming to me, sometimes on a daily level, teaching me multiple connections of awareness of what happens when we utilize our higher self and the divine. From a Christian perspective, we could use the word Holy Spirit. From a much vaster perspective or a New Age perspective, or really my experience of perspective, a conduit of divinity, how our higher self is the conduit of divinity and brings down into our body multiple levels of divine awareness to transform the deepest, most intense, frozen places inside of us, whether it's from this lifetime, from ancestral trauma, from family trauma, from past life trauma, so that we can transform the our pain body and the density that lives inside of us so that we can embody who we really are. So it can bring in not only our higher self more fully into our lived experience, but activate our soul awareness and activate divine energy that's inside of us. And that turns on many, many levels of divine activation of our genome, of our anatomy and who we are, but ultimately leads us to what I call the ascension process, right? Which is actually a big part of ascension, bringing in and living from that divine aspect so we can be both human and divine. There's so many other stories I can share, but that's the basic gist of what I offer the world. And so this process I now call somatic awakening.
That's fantastic. And I should mention, I mean, Beyond Being Human is an educational platform with a spiritual mission. The arc of the documentary that we're embarking on leads towards that inevitably from many different avenues. And exploring our multidimensional nature is the underlying premise of everything. Why would you see these different kinds of things in the documentary? It's about exploring our multidimensional nature and nurturing our divine spark. And with that, I would like to introduce Adam Apollo, who needs no introduction. I've said to people, and I don't want to embarrass you, Adam, but I think you're an absolutely amazing guy, and the projects and what you've done in your life already has been Absolutely incredible. And so, welcome. Please tell us about your life and your experiences, and we're going to go deep into those experiences in the second half of this particular recording. And thanks for being here.
Thank you, Michael. Such a pleasure to be here and an honor to be with all of you watching this. My journey started really young. I had a lot of keys and ideas and skills and things that emerged through me, but didn't really fit in the construct of my parents or my family or my life. And I ended up losing my stepmom in a car accident, who was super psychic. She literally solved a murder in Philadelphia when I was 9 years old. And when she passed in the car accident and she'd told my father, who was the love of her life, and she the same, that she'd be leaving, it sort of set a ripple through my life and through my world. And I began to question everything very, very deeply. And those questions that I asked eventually led me to discovering that I have a human energy body, that I have a field of force around me and that moves through me, that is the guiding field behind everything, all life, all matter, all structures. It's what we call the quantum field or the quantum plenum. And it's not a vacuum, it's not empty, it's quite full. And so, as a teenager discovering this and thinking that I'd found the Force from Star Wars, I began to do blindfolded martial arts and have different experiences where I started to understand just how connected to the entire universe we are through that field. And that through intent and awareness and focus, we can link to anything that we can imagine. Now, I started by linking with the heart of the earth as the first big connection point that I dropped into. I truly grounded myself for the first time. And that experience led to a series of divine realizations where I began to experience not just the earth as my own body, but the earth moon system, the solar system, the galaxy, Laniakea, our galactic cluster, the whole universe, and the infinityverse of expression that all of this entails as me, as who I am, as what I am. And as my mind opened in those ways, I began to seek to understand how to apply this sacred miracle of existence to physics and couldn't quite understand why the physics world as we knew it lacked this most fundamental connection to the field around us. So I became a unified physicist. And over the years after that, discovered many, many secrets about the lattice and the structure of space-time and how matter remembers. Matter itself as a word comes from the word mater, which means mother. And I deepened through my relationship with the physical world, my relationship with the goddess, and began to understand that my journey did not begin here, but began many, 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 many lifetimes ago. And as I traveled that journey and pieced together the puzzle pieces of many lifetimes through so many communions, hundreds of communions with other soul family of mine, I eventually came to realize that they were also star family and that we had come here from other worlds long ago in service to this beautiful planet. And so, beyond being human, as I have come to understand myself, is a passageway, a gateway, a threshold, and it's one that I am deeply excited to share with you.
Thank you. That's an amazing life, and we will explore some of your specific projects like Unify and Core Nexus in the next part of this interview, conversation, exploration. So the words beyond being human actually were given to me very early on, about a month after having the initial energetic intrusion, really, from an angel that has led it to totally take over my life. And it was like being given a download. But there were other words that came later too, and subsequently over the last few years, especially little visions and messages and things like that. But very clearly, I also was given the words open source awakening. And this kind of concept, I've spent time unpacking that, and it's so incredibly rich. If you take each of the individual words themselves and then jumble them up and move awakening to open the source is another way of looking at it. And to source your opening of awakening through the various self-development practices and meditation techniques and all sorts of different kinds of things. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to be exploring. So at this point, I think I'm going to close off this section, and please become a member of either the Patreon campaign. It's a crowdfunding campaign now because we're looking to raise the funds to start the documentary shooting process. But you can also become a member of Beyond Being Human on the website, beyondbeinghuman.org. Well, one of the tiers on Patreon gives you membership to Beyond Being Human anyway. I'm really looking forward to our discussion going forward. Before we do go right now, very briefly, both of you give us an inkling of some of your past life experiences or informing us about your life and the relationship of exploring our multidimensional nature. Starting with you, Adam.
Sometimes it helps to start at the beginning. And for me, I eventually, after decades of doing the work of integrating my lifetimes, I came to the realization that I didn't start in this physical realm as a human at all, that I started as a dragon. And I intimately knew as a dragon my relationship to the elements. It was visceral. It was an experience of feeling the storms coming, of sensing the power of the sprout as it breaks through the earth, of breathing and knowing that the air that I breathed was also breath carried by other animals and plants and other dragons, and knowing the code exchanges that happen with every single breath, to feeling the fire of life and life force inside of me as a birthing and a forging process that forges planets and stars. So I had a bit of a shortcut from the kind of angelic realms of experience to a very integrative experience of the physical world and of matter. And so when I ended up incarnating as a humanoid, traveling from the Andromeda Galaxy to this one as part of a family group that came here to try to stop a war from happening, which is a whole nother story that I write about in my book, The Dragon Key. I found myself entering this humanoid form with a lot of codes that I would have to rediscover and come to understand through my direct life experiences. And those first experiences in the galaxy were pretty tough, but I got to know my strength and my resiliency. I came to know that no matter what, as long as I am aligned to my sacred purpose, there is an invincibility in that. And that's what my life as a Shiheli taught me, as a desert warrior, as a galactic samurai, and as part of a community that became some of the first galactic guardians, with oaths to protect worlds longer than we live. And I carried that torch into my lifetime as a tiara danan, some of what people here on Earth call Valkyries, as an old Nordic term. Priestess, warrior women tribe that are guardians of planets and take on strategic missions to bring reconciliation to spaces of conflict. I learned as Shiara the beauty of the feminine and the magic of the form of the feminine in humanoid ways. And I came to go through deep and profound healings with the help of Pleiadians. And I came to know that there was so much more to the journey of my experience than any one of these facets. That life itself is not just a challenge, it is an unfolding flower that brings us miracles as each petal of the flower opens. And I journeyed on, became Pleiadian, I journeyed on, became Syrian, and as an elf from the White Tower, as Ka El Tharan, I prepared myself to come to this world, to Gaia, knowing the great mission that lied ahead of me, and understanding that there is a greater galactic codex that we are unfolding together as wisdom keepers of the universe, that each of us hold within us a sacred ley line of codes that is our purpose, our soul fulfillment. And I dedicated myself to be a keeper of those gates, to polish as many keys as I possibly could, to hand them out for those seeking to unlock the next step of their journey. And of course, I could speak about many lifetimes on Earth, from Egypt to Avalon and so on, but I trust we'll go deeper as the time arises, and I'll share just this for now.
When you were sharing, Adam, I had to laugh because the first lifetime that you shared, I had already decided was the first lifetime I was going to share, but very different. I remember myself as many lifetimes of being a dragon, but on planet Earth. The lifetime that has been the most significant and working with and healing and going deep, deep, deep into what was needed to transform what occurred was a lifetime as a red dragon of the Middle Earth. And our job was to nurture the heart of Gaia and to nurture the heart of humanity. In many ways, it was almost like an angelic lifetime in the sense that we were unified with Creator. Our job was to completely support the pulsation of unconditional love in this sphere. What occurred, and this may be new information for a lot of people, but something I've been working with for many years now, is that there was a nefarious race, the Draco reptilian, who came in, discovered ways to actually infiltrate the clan of the Red Dragon of the Middle Earth and decimated almost the entire clan and took some of us off planet to reprogram us over years and years and years and years. And so that process has taken everything to heal, and a lot of grace, a huge amount of grace from spirit. And it has also, as I have healed that and have transformed and collapsed everything that happened regarding the programming, the memories that I've already had regarding my past lives before being a dragon, as a Lemurian, as an Arcturian, as a Lyran, and other forms, have not only more fully clarified the memory, but now I'm actually receiving embodiment, understanding, and the gifts of those lifetimes. And so I'll just speak this. This is the most recent download and upgrading embodiment in my being is a Lyran lifetime, where again, I was in service to nurturing the heart, but this time nurturing the heart of the galaxy as a Lyran. And still a lot of information coming in. By the time that the movie is here, there's going to be a lot more key codes have been placed in. So I'll be sharing more from that perspective. But the gist of it is that me and my kind were living in a unified field, and we were on many, many levels nurturing these planets that were being birthed, nurturing the stars, nurturing these new civilizations that were coming on board. And so this experience in this life, it was eons. It was a person said the other day, well, this lifetime, I'm like, well, it was more an extension of my soul over a very, very long period of time. And so I am now so, so, so grateful that this experience is now embodying in my 2025 body and living more of that awareness. In the essence, it feels like what really occurred from that experience. Let me back up a little bit. This is an important piece to say. At the end of that lifetime, it ended because I was on a planet in the Lyran system that was exploded in the Orion Wars, which is what you were just talking about, Adam. And that led me on a whole trajectory from there. At that point, being on that planet at that time, going, I will be here because I'm choosing to be a master of duality. And so I feel like everything that has happened has been for a reason. And now, with the light and the grace that I've been given, that I've been shown how to transform this density, the darkness inside of us, both honoring the pure darkness, but transforming the negative darkness, to how we can actually come into a unified field with the light and the dark to master duality, because that's ultimately what we're being asked to do as we step into the field of beyond being human.
Yeah, wow. And I'm so much looking forward to what we're going to talk about next. And so, folks, if you're watching this on YouTube or somewhere else, please like and subscribe. And we're going to be doing more of these more often than we have previously, because I'm going to introduce all of the different people who are going to appear in the documentary. And we're exploring a whole range of different themes. So thank you again.